Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in as always. Thanks ever so much for your ongoing support. Likes, subscribes, shares, comments, discussions, hints, tips and tricks, all massively appreciated. Right, today we have got Garage Therapy 2 trim from Garage Therapy's protection line to test for the channel. First time for me, first time for you. This was kindly provided to the channel by a very good friend of the channel, and there was enough product to mix up 1 to 4, a 1 to 10 and a 1 to 20. Happy days. So let's just go through the blurb as according to Garage Therapy's website. GT2 trim is a premium water-based dressing infused with advanced silicon oxide to restore, enhance and protect all exterior and interior plastics, vinyl and rubber surfaces. Specially formulated to revive faded trims and rubbers, perfect for wing mirrors on the FOS and scuttle on the FOS. GT2 trim delivers a deep natural finish natural satin finish while providing long-lasting protection against the elements. Unique hydrophobic properties of 2 trim offers exceptional water repellency, preventing moisture build-up and prolonging the life of treated surfaces. Wonderful. Its UV-resistant formulation helps guard against sun-induced fading and cracking, ensuring your vehicle's trims and rubbers maintain their like-new appearance. Apologies, I'm reading it. That's far too much for me to memorise. Designed for versatility, 2 trim is compatible with a wide range of surfaces, including tyres, engine bays and interior plastics. Easy to use, concentrated formula allows for precise application, delivering a non-greasy, non-sling finish that resists dirt and grime. Top line features and specs: premium quality and concentrated, restores, enhances and protects, advanced silicon oxide dressing, compatible with all exterior and interior plastics, vinyl and rubber, UV protection, water-based formulation, suitable for tyres and engine bays. Shame I only just done the engine bay, so there's nothing that needs doing under there. Prep: all surfaces should be clean and dry. So car was washed yesterday, foam, rinseless, hybrid wash, so she's nice and clean. I've been round this morning and used Green Star and those sort of hardcore garage ultra grime cloth wipes. Wonderful. So everything's clean and dry, ready to rock and roll. So it says surfaces should be clean and dry, but it also said, asterisk, wet application can also be done. So if you've just finished your engine bay, you've pressure washed it, whatever, you can literally spray the product on, shut the lid, leave it 10 to 15 minutes and it'll look wonderful. Bit like Motorplast. Probably not quite as incredible, but similar sort of vibe, self-leveling, etc, etc. It provides an OEM plus rather than an oily look. Durability, interesting. New and well-maintained plastics can last 3 to 4 months. Older faded trim 1 to 2 months. So we'll put this in the older faded trim category. It says you can feed, this is from their website, you can feed plastics with tyre serum, then top off with trim, which is interesting. I will ensure to test that another day. Exceptions for usage: motorbike tyres and foot pedals, anything that you want to remain grippy. So dilution ratios for exteriors: 1 to 4 to 1 to 10. Interior 1 to 10 to 1 to 20. Engine bay and rubbers 1 to 4 to 1 to 10. So I'm going to do Forester mud flaps and the Forester tyres with 1 to 4. Exterior plastics 1 to 10, and a little test on the interior 1 to 20. And I will do all three, boom, 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 1 to 4 on the driver's third, 1 to 10 middle third, 1 to 20 on the passenger third on the skull. Wicked. So, for reference, this is quite interesting really, a litre of the Garage Therapy product from their website is £26, and a litre of Pearl from Amazon, Google shopping, just a broad cross section, £25 a litre. Now, the thing to remember while I was reading and researching about this product is that you start thinking, sounds very, very similar to Pearl. Now, the thing to remember is Pearl for tyres and engines is 1 to 1, 1 to 3. There you have it. Garage Therapy starts lowest dilution ratio 1 to 4. So it's the classic Garage Therapy trick. You know, whether or not it is as good as Pearl remains to be seen. However, whatever happens, it's the same price and it's significantly more dilutable. Pearl, interior 1 to 5. Garage Therapy, interior 1 to 10 to 1 to 20. So it's either double or 4 times as dilutable for the same intended purpose. Exterior, Pearl, 1 to 3. Exterior, Garage Therapy, 1 to 4 to 1 to 10. So either ever so slightly better or 3.33 times better. So there you go. Interesting. Right, I reckon we'll get on the floor and do mud flaps first. And just to respond to a couple of questions, suggestions that I've received either on the channel, in the comments, or via email. Scuttle, yes, this week we'll do that. 3 different ratios using the Garage Therapy trim product. And to GM details, yes, I am very interested in testing Infinity Wax plastic coat versus Pearl versus trim. I will do that for another video. Anyway, I've just got to shut the garden gate. Pause a moment. Right, we'll do the inside first and the outside second. And I hope that view is okay. It was very hard to see the viewfinder, so I'm just going to liberally douse a microfiber and then get in and push this around. I'm just going to remove my watch. Apologies. I've been meaning to do this for ages. These were renewed when the car was painted, and I promised myself I would look after these in terms of continual plastic care, trim care, cleansing, and not let them get all frazzled. So, nice. I think you can even see some reflection. Nice. Right, let's get on to the other side. I will check cam once I've manoeuvred myself. So we should be able to get a better shot on here. So again, just going to prime the pad and then distribute over the surface whilst attempting to achieve total coverage lovely, nice, bright, not overly shiny. We'll have a look at the finish in a minute. I'm just going to put 2 squirts on the inside. And I think while that's drying and while we're down here, let's have a look at tyre. So I'll get the cam back a bit. I think that should do. It's good actually. Tyres are untreated. So we'll just prime the pad and have a little smash around the top so that we've got a comparison point. Well, they obviously weren't neglected enough to have a massive standout. However, that's quite a nice finish actually. Let's see what happens if we load some up. So we'll do that right here. And we'll let gravity do its thing. For a short while, and then we'll have a little push, just making sure the mic's still on me. Well, it's not a remarkable difference, but you know, like I say, they were neglected. I've had a good couple of pressure washes without applying any tyre product. So they were reasonably naked. Can we see a break? Possibly. I've not gone into this section, but you can see I did enter that, so there's a little drag of shiny. So you can see where I've been, just. But the look's nice. It looks nice. And that's where it's had a good sit. So it's kind of nice because it's that factory, and it is totally and utterly without stickiness. Right, let's just wipe that bit I sprayed on. And I'm going to just pipe a little bit into here because we can see immediate gratification. So we'll let that do its thing in there on the arch liner. Let's see, should be able to get some up there. Lovely. And this is it untreated. Once I get the camera fully inserted, it will work out its light metering, I believe. Here we go. So, totally untreated. Let's get the camera in. Ooh. Trying hard to get camera and spray bottle. Well, that'll be nice. We can just leave that to soak in and see what happens. I've created some overspray on the mud flap, which we will resolve. My apologies. I'd folded myself into small mode. Right, just going to do this while I'm working on other tasks. And we'll see how that gets on. Let's have a look how the mud flap finished up. Nice. Nice. Needs a wipe, because I just generated more overspray whilst doing the arch. But look at that. Nice. Right. Let's get this one done. Should have started on this one, shouldn't I? It's a somewhat better shot. Right, let's get that one done. I think I sort of prefer the squirt and dwell technique. So, like so. We'll just leave some on the inners whilst this part is happening, and then we'll go look for some more bits to treat. Let's just press that around. Nice. Nice. And we'll do the same in here. Nice. Ooh. Right. Just going to wrap my cloth around that. Shoop. Why not? And while it's damp and impregnated, this is something I do every year with pearl, because it stops windows, door shuts, boots, etc., etc., freezing shut with the pillarless vibe. Right, let's just go and get another product. I'll put both of those in the boot now. So 1 to 10. Let's just have a little, just doing a test squirt, and we'll have a little go in here. Not too worried about getting the car overly plastered, because I can go round later with a QD. Been meaning to treat that rusty crusty nut. Mind you, I think that's grease. Good to show the transformation on that rubber, actually. Nice. That means towel swap. Anyway, made that plastic look nice. Nice satin, subtle, lovely jubbly. And that is the 1 to 10. Sadly, a little bit of overspray on this one. Let's get in close for this again, because that was good. I will treat that rust. Let's get that thinking. And this time, I'm not going to let that drip go down the car. Good-o. Nice. Clearly needs rust inhibitor, and just to dig out some of this old grease. There's time for all that, so that is good. I'm just going to wipe over that too. I know it's not designed for that sort of surface, but I'm doing it nonetheless. I guess we should do this, shouldn't we? Make sure I've got the right one. We'll use 1 to 10 again. Sorry, it's not pristine. I had made the boot absolutely perf-amundo the other day because I think the weather was bad and I was going to do some YouTube stuff inside the boot. And that didn't happen. And then the weather, I had to put gardening equipment in the Forester. Bad times. Right. Nice. And obviously you will have noticed that I have cleared this entire expanse. And yes, you're right. Whatever's left at the end, we're going in with crazy, load it up. Why not? Products in hand, products mixed up, ready to rock and roll. Let's do it. Right. Let's do. So, she's good. Tyres still having a think. Let's do scuttle. So I'm going to get the camera back on the tripod and we'll do the scuttle. So we'll start with 20-1. Nice, nice. And in that fiddly section, I will just put a couple of squirts just so it can soak in. Make sure we've got the right one. 1 to 20. When I say soak in, what I mean is my hand does not fit down there. So we're just going to have to let gravity do its job. Right, let's just push along that rubber up to our break point. Try and find a damp, accurate, pointy bit just to get that upper part. There we go. Find something to jam in there. There we go. And any residual can just do the gradually soaking in thing. I'm just going to make sure I've got up under there. Apologies if you think I take too long with these sometimes, but I like to be as accurate as possible and try not to introduce further cleansing requirement. So that's quite nice. That is quite nice. I don't know if you've seen, it's interesting actually, this process I'm doing now was one of the things I did on the YouTube channel in its early days when I decided I really enjoy this. Right, so I'm going for break points there. I know it's a lot more fiddly. Hopefully you can see everything. Now we're going with 1 to 10. And I'll get on this side so I'm out of the way of the camera. And I want to sort of work up to this rivet on that wiper blade. So I'm going to pop it up for now. Actually, let's just draw a line. I'm going to prime a pad and then make a mark there, and then whoop her out the way. Now we know where we're working. It was inevitable that there was going to be some requirement to spray some sections because I can't get my finger in there. So this is 1 to 10. It's quite interesting really, where there's like dotty patchiness on the surface. It makes you wonder whether that's failure points on previous coatings. So let's make sure that bit's done to a good standard. Definitely need a bit of clean microfiber to push into there. That will do. Oh. We've got this. Lovely. Lovely. See if I can get my finger in there. It's on the glass. Right. I just want to do a last little localized push on a few bits that still appear a little bit patchy. Made myself some lovely QDing to be done, but that is that taken care of. I'm going to fetch another cloth. I'm going to put the 1 to 20, 1 to 4 over there in a moment. That can sit there. So you can see what we've been doing. Happy days. Right, I'm just going to rearrange the tripod onto the next section. So I should get a nice close-up of that part. New cloth, strongest dilution ratio, 1 to 4. Incoming for this bit. So I'm going to do the same again in that I'm going to squirt into here just to let that dwell. Just need to peer around the camera. So same down there. All good. And then, of course, prime the pad and commence distribution. Now, obviously we don't want to push beyond the rivet on the wiper, because that's the marker for where the previous product was, the 1 to 10. So obviously I'm hoping for slightly more even coverage and better surface impregnation with the strongest variant, but we shall see. We shall see. Right, grab another squirt just to ensure we're getting adequate on this section. It's windy again. It's really irritating. No doubt the bodywork's covered in a lovely layer of this. Well, as is often the case with this kind of product, there is some mop-up required. Excuse my personage in the way. Yep, that's spraying all towards the car. Just what I need. Oh well. Oh well, he said. Let's get you down there. And in there. Right, me being me, I'm now itching to traceless the glass, QD the lip of the bonnet. Alas, can't do that quite yet. So we just want those to settle entirely, and then we'll have a little look at what's done what. But I've got to be honest, this looks nice, that looks nice, and that looks nice. So, no real drama. Right, let's get the camera up. While we're here, it'd be rude not to just finish any part of the scuttle that wasn't visible when the bonnet was down. So, I'm just going to get some 1 to 4. And just do any areas that are within reach. It's quite easily removable actually, that entire scuttle. I should pull it out and do the full resto. That would be pleasing for me. Right, so obviously making sure not to touch any of the sections, they are just over there, that we've just been applying to. I got the engine bay dirty this morning. When I was getting everything ready, I treated myself to a very quick headlight polish. As you do when you're really busy prepping to test this product. Anyway, I cranked it up to the max a bit too soon, and let's just say that we had some extraneous pad material and polish whizzing around Right, that'll do. Before I start losing my mind and doing something I don't mean to be doing. Right. Who knew? God, that's highly enjoyable. I didn't know those blue foams would come up that nice. Right, so let's get camera down. That's had long enough to dry. So this was the 1 to 20. Nice, nice, nice. Done a good job. And then is the 1 to 10. Got some blotching, but this is probably more down to me than anything else. Just needs more care and attention. But generally speaking, it's nice. The manufacturer's claims are absolutely 100% correct in that it's not blingy, clingy, flingy. But as you can see, the highest gloss level, clearly, hopefully you can still see my brake. So my brake is here. So the highest gloss level clearly achieved by the 1 to 20. So there you go. Just need to get a bit more on here. I'm going to get that all done and then QD off any marks I generated because it will drive me mad. And then we'll get into a little dab on here. And let's do that as well, I think. The weather strips. So for reference, it was far more efficient to liberally douse the entire area to get really, really nice coverage, and then just QD any overspray and built hammer traceless for any on the glass. But yeah, quite nice, quite pleasing. So I just doused everything with the 1 to 4 and just left it to have a little sit, and then distributed it around and had a bit of a mop up. And this section here is really the star of the show. Nice. Right, let's do one of the wing mirrors. There we go. Hope that's close enough. Just going to go and get a rag, microfiber I should say. Engine bay and rubbers 1 to 4 to 1 to 10. Exterior 1 to 4 to 1 to 10. So let's use the 1 to 10. So I think I'm going to use that same thought process that I just mentioned, in that I can always QD off any that oversprays, but jamming the edge of the towel in order to try and get bits is a no-go. So let's just get this covered. Obviously, I'm going to attempt not to plaster the glass. My apologies. And I can QD that after. And trust me when I say that that method was favourable. Let's do this side, and then I'll move the camera around when I get onto the other side. That was favourable in terms of speed and efficiency. Because otherwise you're poking around for ages and ages and ages, whereas you might as well just get it coated evenly and looking nice, and then I can just QD any sections that have got overspray later. Well, That is a transformation. Right, see if we can move around in one fell swoop. Here we go. Yes, I know there's some mopping up to do. Also doing the spray method, I was able to spray in there rather than doing that thing where you just leave a gap. So get all round there. That I want some more product on. You can sort of see what you'll end up doing, because we'll notice that the 1 to 4 is the best, and then we'll end up using that primarily. Such is the nature of these things, because I'm starting to see greying already on the side that I just showed the camera and went, oh, this is amazing. Well, we were starting to get some greying there already. So let us just, I'm going to perch the cloth there, grab some, first time of this, just quickly get this off whilst it's still easy to work with, i.e. wet. There we go. Easy. And I think I'm going to use the same cloth just to go like so. Make sure the mirrors, the painted part and the glass, the indicator glass, is clean. Put that there. So you know what we're going to do. We're definitely going to be using the 1 to 4 on the other side. So let's grab products, which I've probably left on the other side, and we'll go straight round and do that right now, because I suspect it is going to be significantly better. Right, let's get you in there. That is glass. Here we are. So we're going to do the same process again, but with the 1 to 4. Try not to get it on the tripod. We'll go pad for that bit. And I can pad the underneath. Right. Well, overall, the general feel to me is very much in line with pearl. And I had done tests on the scuttle before where I did, I think, a little bit with pearl, a little bit with dark side, and a little bit Meguiar's Ultimate Black Plastic Restorer. And they all did pretty well. And I did a similar product with pearl on one side and the Meguiar's Black Plastic Restorer on another side. And again, whilst they both did well, but the pearl seemed to have an initial durability boost in that it was winning, But once the pearl had gone, the Maguire's product still retained a little bit of glossiness, which was weird. Very strange. Softly, softly catch the monkey. Slow, something wins the race, that sort of thing. That kind of vibe. Right, now, obviously, I want this to dry up nice and even and to be better than the other side. We shall see. Right, sorry, just going to grab the QD. And associated QD towel. And so you can all laugh at the mess I made. Just pop the camera there a minute. And we'll just get that off straight away. No drama. Let's get that. Give this a shake. One more little bit. Just to make sure. Right, just going to put the cloth somewhere separate. That one's a goner. Just get the camera down so you can see some areas that I missed. But overall, not bad. Not bad. Definitely due another coat. Scuttle looking great. Slightly weaker side. Not ideal. Not brilliant. As you can clearly see, still sort of in the grey spectrum. Right, so you will remember that I have previously coated the rain guards. However, I think it's fair to say that it's probably had 30, 40 pressure washes since last application of Infinity Wax plastic coat. Because when I first put it on, you could see that we had really nice water action, but that has pretty much all but diminished. But these aren't very old, so we're not expecting any life-changing colour change on these, but I do like everything to be protected. I've seen a bit I missed on the glass. We're not going to see a great change on the rain guards, that much I have decided. Right, let's get this down. When I was walking to and fro, I wanted to show you how the tyre finished up. Not bad actually, not bad at all. For a spray and walk away, that's not too bad at all. Right, I'm going to spray the others with 1 to 10. And then I think we'll have a, I'm going to check my pad, see if there's anything else we're supposed to do. Oh, I know. Lovely. Lovely. There we are. Some lovely greying plastic for you all. Well, we're not mucking about. We're going straight in with 1 to 4. Obviously. Nice. Right, it's getting a small squirt on the pad. Hopefully you can see that. Good. You know, when you feel sure the cloths are fighting you, and they, oh, that spins. Result means I can get the bit I couldn't get. Yeah, the cloths are fighting you, and they just encouraging you to splat everything on the paint. More work required on cleaning the glass effectively. Nice. Well, that looks pretty good. Right then. Let's have a little splash about, shall we? So we'll get them all. 20, 10, 4, fresh cloth. Obviously we're going sides. So let's get that in. So there's room for me and room for camera. Right, so let us do 1 to 20. Okay, we can call that liberally doused. And 1 to 10. To keep that somewhere central. And then 1 to 4. Right, and I'll put the 1 to 4 bottle there. And, sorry, we'll put the 1 to 20 bottle there. Nice. Good-o. We're rolling. There's bound to be some cross-contamination, as I'm sure you can all appreciate. So let's go, first of all, 1 push there. And round. Like so. No one's going to complain, are they? The finish is absolutely fine. So now we're stepping up to bone dry, clean side of the pad. Now we're stepping up to the 1 to 10. Nice, nice. So I'm trying to do a similar amount of push, a similar amount of work, a similar amount of agitation, etc, etc. And obviously now it doesn't really matter which cloth goes on this side, because this is the strongest one. So it feels maybe slightly thicker. There you go. There you go. You'd need to be, I mean, that was the exhaust. The, you know, you've got to be super sharp to say, oh, well, one bit's definitely brighter. Let's, I'll just leave that there a minute. Obviously, this has had the longest amount of time to dry. This has had second longest amount to dry, and that has only just been done. I guess if we get in close and go over that now, you could argue very, very marginally more shine. But look, I mean, it is shiny. It certainly is shiny. So there's the break. 10 to 1, 20 to 1. So there is a difference. There is a difference. $20 to 1, 10 to 1. Sorry if I made a slip on that one. 4 to 1. Just make sure we're working in the same level of light. But when you're far away, I don't think anyone's going to call it. You wouldn't crack your boot open for someone to put something in and go, oh, what did you use to clean this bit? It looks rubbish compared to that bit. I think it's generally all pretty good, to be honest. But I think if you want immediate coverage, quickest, best sort of colour impregnation, you go with a 1 to 4. I think this could still be more black, couldn't it? That could definitely still be more black. Right, I'm going to pause here, check my pad, see where we're at. Maybe we'll have a squirt on a door card, but I've got a feeling the door cards are all pretty clean, but we can have a 20 to 1 on that nonetheless. Maybe it's been a while since I've done a back. So they're looking a little bit lackluster. So let's see what this provides. And this is the 20 to 1. 1 to 20. Let's have a little push over the grey bit. Nice. Neutral, fragrance free, and rather nice. I'm embarrassed to show you the rest of the vehicle because it is filthy. However, not filthy, covered with equipment, shall we say. That's that having time off, you know. And getting to the end of the day, getting excited, going indoors, doing editing, and then forgetting, well, not forgetting, running out of time, and just going, oh, do you know what, I'll throw it all in the Forester. It's what it's for. It's a workhorse. Anyway, couldn't resist a little window rubber massage. Right, I'm going to do the rest of the mud flaps, have a little tidy up of everything that I have absolutely mullered, use up a chunk of the 10-to-1 doing what I was just doing on the rubbers, and then I'll be back for the wrap up. Well, I think it's just about to rain. There's been a few little spits. Anyway, Foz has thoroughly enjoyed that. There's a few little bits of overspray or tiny areas that I missed. Feels nice. With the tyres in the end, I went with total spray and walk away, which has done fine. So the others will still be marginally damp because it isn't that long since I've done them, but everything come up nice. This section's good. That could do with more coat. Mud guards nicely coated. Tyres on the turn, i.e. drying up and beginning to look nice. Sprayed coat, ooh, not brilliant, not brilliant, but that's fine. They can be part of my wheel off restoration project, which is on the planner. But this is dried up nice, no sticky at all. Nice, nice, nice. So that is that. So let's wrap that up. I'm going to go and spend some time with the dogs. So, having had adequate amounts of time to mull this over, it is very, very comparable to Pearl. So it's like Garage Therapy's attempt at making a product to rival Pearl. And it felt the same in use, it felt the same in application, it felt the same in sort of dwell time, working in time. Also had a similar kind of underlying smell, although it is unscented. So it's very, very similar to Pearl. And conversely to what I said at the start of the video, even though, just making sure I'm filming, even though I said at the beginning that it seems more concentrated and therefore you can use a weaker dilution, as you will see or will have seen if you scrub back through the video or you remember watching it, I was reaching for the 1:4 more and more. As the video progressed, I just started reaching for the 1:4. So it says it all. You need to use it at the stronger dilution ratio in order to get performance like you're used to from Pearl. So that says it all, doesn't it, really? I mean, I think I said that Pearl was 1:3, one of the lowest suggested ratios on Pearl. But Garage Therapy says 1:4. I mean, so there's nothing in it. Price the same, give or take. Sales, bargains, whatever. But price is very, very similar per litre. Performance is very, very similar. And application's similar. Scent is similar. So it's just, if you've run out and you need one or the other, you choose. If you're from the UK, you may choose Garage Therapy because it's a UK product. Whereas you may just favour CarPro products and go for Pearl. But I'd say that they're very, very hard to separate the two. Anyway, slightly disappointed that there's no sort of conclusive, absolutely blinding evidence that that was the best product known to mankind, which I often look forward to with Garage Therapy products. It is very, very nice. It done a very, very good job. It's nice to use. A little goes a long way, blah, 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 all that usual kind of stuff. But, as I say, very, very similar to Pearl. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that one as always. Take very, very good care of yourselves as always, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.